Time for Ask the Mayor on KWBE with Beatrice. Mayor Stanworth, 402-228-5923, our number if you have a question about city issues or business today. Good morning, Stan.
Morning, Doug.
How are you today?
I'm good, sir. And yourself?
Good. Got a little bit of sunshine yesterday, maybe some rain on the way tonight, which we can always use.
Maybe a little wind tomorrow?
So, yeah, a lot of wind lately.
55 mile an hour or something like that?
It's like
can't wait.
Never ending in spring in Nebraska. That's the way it is. But have a lot to talk about today, and after really a pretty lengthy review process involving applications and several rounds of interviews and a lot of review, you'll have yourself a new police chief when Bruce Lang retires in early June.
First of all, I want to thank all of the people that were involved in the interviewing process. It took numerous people. I think we were upwards of 20 individuals who, from the public sector, from the private sector, that interviewed the 15 different candidates. Actually, we had 15 applications. We narrowed it down to 8, and then narrowed it down to 3, and then obviously narrowed it down to 1. And the city council on Monday night ratified the resolution to hire the new police chief, selected to begin his duties in early June. Name is John Hickman, and he is currently serving as a police chief in Glendive, Montana. He has been a he will replace our long-term standing police chief, Bruce Lang, who is retiring after some 30 years as the community's top cop and law enforcement officer. Mr. Hickman's career started in North Carolina, beginning at Rayford PD and then at Fayetteville Police Department. His accent kind of gives him away as to kind of where he is from. A little southern
in there, huh?
Yeah, it's not a Montana accent, if there is a Montana accent. He holds a couple of master's degree, one in criminal justice and one in public administration. So he knows the processes that cities go through. He has served in the military, working as a criminal and intelligence investigator in Afghanistan in support of the Army's Operation Enduring Freedom intelligence mission. And so he is a well-rounded individual. He has a family, wife, and 3 children. One of his, I think the eldest son, is just entered into the military, has a daughter around 14 years old, and a son that the youngest son is 10 years old.
Beyond the administrative abilities and the degrees and things like that, I would imagine that one of the things, especially in a position like that, you're really looking for is great people skills, because you're going to be dealing with the community in a lot of situations where the community doesn't really want to be dealt with because of crime, but you're also going to be out there, establishing the good relations that have already been established.
Yeah, and I said on the last interview, I didn't want to interfere with what the Public Service Commission did, what some of the private sector interview processes were, but I sat in on the last interview, and I can tell you that without a doubt, he rises way to the top as far as one of those individuals who is a good conversationalist. I think that he will weigh different measures accordingly, depending upon the severity of those measures. And I think he will be a good community-minded citizen for our community.
Town he's coming from is about 5,100 people, if I remember right. How big of a department, roughly, do you know?
I don't know how many people are actually in that department. That number did come up, and it didn't convert it to long-term memory. But he has had not only the management skills of other employees, but he has also 911 experience of operating a communication center. That's really important for our community because of the large operation that we have and the different communities that we do serve through our 911 services.
Yeah, I wasn't able to find how Montana 911 works, but I would imagine in some areas where you don't have a lot of communities around, that not everybody can operate their own center. So I'm assuming there's a regional aspect to theirs as there is to ours.
There is, and he indicated in the conversation, in the interviewing process, that more communities in the state of Nebraska will be going that direct route simply because they are not going to have the funding capabilities of buying all of the equipment necessary to go into future 911 communication processes. It's expensive. We are established today. We're set up for utilizing our service center as the ability to work with other communities, and it just seems like it's going to be a nice fit for us. And will he recruit other communities? That's a very strong possibility.
Seems like we have a lot of people retiring from positions. Linda Grell, after 40 years, Monday night you honored her as executive director of Keep Beatrice Beautiful, which used to be Beatrice Clean City as we know it. And
Right.
I was trying to think of how many things she must have done over the years of her career to help the area look better.
Well, there was a lot of things that Linda did with that program. And over a 40-year period of time, I think the accomplishments are way too numerous to mention. But she had a hand in it, along with a good working board. We recognized Linda on Monday night with a plaque commemorating the accomplishments, and added the added enhancements, immeasurable enhancements that actually occurred in our community. Program received numerous awards, including 7 Keep America Beautiful National Awards. That's kind of a big deal. That tells you that they were working hard every day to make our community better and improving our community.
A lot of combined grant efforts with your public properties department for various improvements across the city, too.
Which included, I think, repainting and refurbishing the tabernacle at Chautauqua Park, repainting the city auditorium, replacing the drapes, park benches, planting, I think, 300 trees along the Standing Bear Trail. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and we're not even touching the surface of all of those accomplishments.
Sometimes things that don't get a lot of notoriety at the moment, but provide some long-term benefit.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And so we certainly want to thank Linda for her commitment and dedication for keeping Beatrice beautiful.
Before we and we'll take a break here in just a second, get on to the rest of our program, but I know you attended the service for former State Senator Dennis Byers, and current Gage County Board member on Tuesday. I can't imagine anybody that's probably served more years serving the public, trying to make things better for others.
Well, and it was an uplifting funeral, if there is such a thing. But look, it's a fact of life. We're all going to at some point in time go through it. But his 2 sons did an outstanding job of kind of in a chronological order go through his life as they saw it as his sons. And I think from that aspect, it gave everybody a perspective that it isn't how long you live, it's how you live your life. And I think Denny was one of those individuals who lived life, and he lived life through others.
We'll be back with more on Ask the Mayor with Mayor Stanworth in just a moment. Back on Ask the Mayor with Beatrice Mayor Stanworth today. One of the things from the City Council meeting on Monday night was approval of the purchase of what most people know as the JCPenney Building, right next to where you used to work up until just here recently. And
Right.
Inside, as far as kind of getting that ready for use, how much work is that?
It's going to be quite a bit of work. What we need to do first and foremost is put a lid on the building to weatherproof it, so the roof isn't leaking anymore. It's currently leaking today. The design, or hopefully the design is going to be that it's going to be a pitched roof, so that it would be higher on the north end, and it would then taper off to the south with some type of a slope, and trying to figure out how to get rid of the water that is on the roof today, the roof as we go into the future, how that drainage is going to be, because in the wintertime, if there's any warmer days, that moisture has a tendency to fall off into the alley and create kind of an ice situation.
I see.
So there's going to be some work there that has to be figured out, and how we can do it. I think it is something that the city has been looking at for a long time, of purchasing a downtown building. This one just seemed to make sense. Removing that building between two other pretty substantial buildings would be a really costly endeavor, and quite frankly, probably a lot more cheaper to secure it, put a roof on it, than if we were going to try to demolish it. It is a solid concrete structure, so not only would you have different apparatuses, mechanical apparatuses to tear the building down, you'd have a lot of jackhammering and create a lot of vibration, which could damage a couple of other buildings.
The square footage it offers, and if I remember right, I was thinking Michael Silton, the Main Street director, is saying somewhere around 7,000 square feet, somewhere in there.
I think that's probably adequate, yes.
That amount of size, do you think that may lead to at least maybe more interest in it than maybe, say, some smaller type of storefront, maybe packed in between others? Or
well, we hope so, and it could turn into where there's 1, 2, maybe 3 different opportunities for businesses to go into. It is, again, an attempt to occupy an unoccupied building today. We purchased it from an Omaha family that really had no interest in doing anything with the building, and so we were guardedly pleased that we got the building. But by the same token, I think it is going to be an opportunity for us to salvage a vacant building that is in disrepair and isn't going to get any better.
Okay. About a block to the west, same side of the street, you still have what is known as the Barber Building, 413 Court to deal with, and that's dilapidated multi-floor
beyond
building.
repair.
Beyond repair. Yeah. You took bids for that and received those the other day. What was the result of that?
Lowest bid was $277,000.
To demolish it.
To demolish it.
Wow.
So that will then go to the city council for their consideration. It is something that you just hold your nose and vote on, and try to figure out if that is the way we want to go. Don't know that there's too much other options at this point. There is some stabilization of the building that is adjacent to it that is going to have to occur, but that's all in the bid proposal today. So once that building is, as the demolition process begins, as it continues, we want to make sure that it doesn't damage the building adjacent to it.
I know a lot of people don't like to leave holes in historic downtowns, but at some point it just gets to the level where there's a danger too to the public.
Well, that's one of the biggest problems. I mean, public safety is number one with any administration for the city of Beatrice, and that is certainly something that is taken into consideration. And the fact that the third floor is in the basement today tells us that this building is not going to be fixed to any degree where it would be sustainable.
And we add to that the big building at 6th and Court, where you had the Kensington, a retirement living center for many years, that announced earlier this year they were pulling out of there, not going to operate in that building anymore. That brings its own challenges, just what? Sure. Because of the size of the building and the space available.
Just because of the sheer size. And it's 4 or 5 stories tall. And we have really limited parking anywhere for any process or program that may go in there in the future. We do have a meeting set up for, I think it's the second week in May, with an investor, with a developer, who has shown some interest in the building, and we're going to do whatever we can to try to accommodate him. That is on the historic register of the National Historic Register. Unfortunately, it sounds like in the state of Nebraska, the historic tax credits are going to sunset sometime next month. That is a bit of a blow to someone who would want to come in and invest in that property, because historic tax credits can be pretty lucrative for an investor. So that creates its own challenge in trying to market the building and sell the building.
You were talking before the program with this big tax cut package approved. Why didn't they just tack that on to that package?
Sure would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Everything else was on there. Might as well add one piece to that to keep those credits. And is there any chance that, I suppose that might be, of course, that would be a topic for a state senator, but maybe trying to get those credits renewed?
I think that's important, especially for historic places in downtown areas or any other historic places around the state of Nebraska that's just another tool that we can use to try to incentivize investors and developers to come in and take advantage of some of the properties that you have available.
Any options locally as far as LB 840 or things like that, or revolving loan funds that could help out in a case like that, or what?
Absolutely. It just is, I think it's somewhat of a staggering number, however, for the funds that are available in both of those programs.
Okay. Back with more, wrapping up Ask the Mayor with Mayor Stanworth here in just a moment. We're back to wrap up our Ask the Mayor program today with Mayor Stanworth. Coming up here in the not-too-distant future will be the Beatrice Clean City Week event, where you have large-item curbside pickup. And, of course, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago when you were on the program that you're trying trying to get people to register sort of ahead of time by May 6th.
By May 6th.
A couple days, 3 days in advance of when the program is, to kind of make things easier. So if people haven't registered, now would be a good time to do it.
Great time to do it. Just go to the city's website, and you can go to the link and register for the pickup. As you mentioned earlier, May 6th is the deadline for the registration. The actual Clean City Week is May the 9th through the 12th. And the 12th is basically the cleanup after the cleanup date. If there was an area that was missed, for whatever reason, then they're going to go back and rectify that.
Any idea how many registrations so far?
I don't. I have not checked. I'm going to have another meeting at city offices after this program and give me an opportunity to find out. So maybe in a subsequent program we can address that issue. We talked about mattresses. Mattresses were traditionally dropped off at the First and Court location. That is changed, and that's going to be out at the landfill. The site will be open from 8 to 8, so gives people ample time to, once they, for instance, if they get off work, or even if they want to do it prior to work, they can take their mattresses out there. You have to actually show a indication that you are from Beatrice, because Beatrice citizens are paying for this program. We're trying to eliminate out-of-county and out-of-state mattresses and, people that are taking advantage of the situation, trying to eliminate that.
I would imagine everybody's just hoping this time this is going to work out just the way you want it, so you don't have to keep looking at other sites for mattresses.
I know. And that seems like it's always a hot button and a big deal. We are also doing a junked vehicle amnesty program. During that period of time where people can register, we'll pick up their vehicles at no charge and dispose of them.
Okay. One thing you've had a lot of success over the years, I know certainly during your 2 terms, is getting grants through various sources for projects that, might not go forward if you didn't get a little bit of help, to help out with financing them. But a couple of grants that didn't come out your way recently. One was an application for support for a new playground at Astro Park, where you have the water feature added there. Then also the trail not far from Beatrice High School between 24th and 26th, where you want to finish that connection. Right. Now that those grants are not going to be a part of the thing, those projects, will they go forward in some other form through other sources? Or how?
Well, we hope so. Yeah. And that's the plan. I think the fact that we've got a splash pad now at Sertoma Park, or Astro Park, we want to continue to enhance that area, and playground equipment is something that is certainly one of the elements that we want to add to it. We're hoping that there are other opportunities where we can get funding, whether it's through grant opportunities or whether it's private funding. We're going to look at all options, not only for the park, but also for that stretch of sidewalk between 24th and 26th Street.
Yeah, that I drive by there fairly frequently, and not just after school times or whatever. You see a lot of people on that trail area out by the high school, whether or not they're, maybe walking toward Hannibal Park or going the other direction. But it would be neat to have that connection made because there's people that could use that.
They could use it. They would use it. And so we will somehow find the necessary funding to complete that. Maybe not this year, but maybe first of next year we can do something like that. But we're going to investigate all possibilities.
Sure is an active campaign going on to improve recreational opportunities in Beatrice. You got the Hannibal Park project and all the ball field improvements that are made out there, and there's some reworking there that you want to do to try to make that a bit more friendly.
There's going to be some other improvements. Obviously, we're going to put in a larger parking lot. The parking lot will hold about 100 more cars than it currently holds today. By the tennis courts, there's kind of a older, outdated restroom, and that's going to be replaced. There's not only tennis courts, but there's pickleball courts, and that's something that has really gained in popularity. Continuing to enhance the batting cage facilities, and with the help of the softball association, the Girls Softball Association, they're donating some funds to assist with that. So all in all, it's really a good public-private partnership that is going on today. And, Hannibal Park is an extremely busy area. Their first tournaments were held, I think, the first weekend in April. There was another tournament held last weekend, and there's going to be a big tournament coming up this weekend, weather permitting. Between that and the West Scott Street ball fields, makes you wonder how many thousands of people come to the community in an average recreational season. Jason Moore is going to put out welcome signs along the major thoroughfares just to let them know that we do appreciate them coming to our community. That's always a nice touch when you use that electronic sign. Absolutely. I think people kind of enjoy that. And he has, and I have also received a lot of thank yous from those different teams. Mudecca's tournament is another one that I've received calls from coaches and some of the organizers that they really appreciate it. By the way, I forgot, you mentioned it Monday night, I think. You're now at Tree City, USA again, too. We are. Aren't you? Yeah. We are. And there is going to be a bit of a ceremony on April 29th at Chief Standing Bear Trail at 9:30. Where fourth grade class from Stoddard School is going to be there, along with Public Properties Director Mark Pethod and Beatrice Clean City. And they are going to witness planting of a tree. So I'm looking forward to being there. A little Arbor Day celebration thing. That's correct. Yeah. Well, we mentioned before about the legislature wrapping up its 60-day session as it relates to things that may have affected municipalities this year. I know your staff, administrative staff at the city, watches various bills to see what stage they're at, whether or not they made it out of committee to the floor or went through all three rounds. Didn't really seem like there was a lot of measures that would negatively affect municipalities this year. And we didn't see any either. And, the League of Municipalities keeps us pretty well informed on those bills that could affect municipalities, not only for Beatrice, but all municipalities in the state of Nebraska. And I think, again, the historic tax cut that the governor announced yesterday and approved by the legislature was number one and number one priority in the minds of everybody in our community. I think it seems like one of the areas that was touched on in past sessions was adjustments to TIF, tax increment financing. I know he had some of those changes were not the greatest because they just added another layer of bureaucracy, I guess. Right, but another layer of transparency. I think you have to look at it that way. And again, that is a tool, and I think there is a meeting tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, regarding another project. And so that is something that I think is very useful for our community and all communities in the state. Mayor, thanks for being with us again. Thank you, Douglas.